So, my name is Farhana, and I'm a software engineer at Mercury, a fintech startup that powers banking for other startups. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, and I'm currently living in the Bay Area. And in 2020, I started blogging. It's brought me nothing but good things, and I haven't looked back since. In January, I started up the job search again. And in this year alone, I've scheduled and gone through 40 job interviews while still being privileged to be employed. I would say 40 is a lot, especially while working full time. I owe a lot of credit to getting these opportunities uh, to blogging. A majority of my calls were recruiters and hiring managers reaching out to me, companies I did not apply for initially, and honestly, the companies I did apply for rarely got back to me. So here I blogged about what I was working on and what I was learning. So I was looking for iOS roles, and everything I worked on, I blogged about it. So I blogged about various iOS frameworks that I developed or anything I learned new about the Swift programming language. I also blogged about it. And then I shared these posts on LinkedIn. I realized that this increased my engagement score a lot, thus helping recruiters find my profile much more easily. And during the interviews I had, I received feedback that my blog posts were the reason why they extended an interview. So why should you start blogging? There are so many ways to create content nowadays on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, etc. Maybe you think blogging is unnecessary now because of those platforms, or maybe you tried it in the past and didn't think much of it. Or maybe blogging was always on your personal backlog, but not super prioritized. Blogging has a ton of compounding benefits that can enhance yourself and your career. For instance, blogging helps you build your personal brand. Having a personal brand is super crucial for today's job market because there were over 5,000 mass layoffs this year, making the job market much more intense. And this data is from yesterday. So unfortunately, the number is going to increase before the new year. It's especially harder for early career folks. Employers are hiring less new grads than before. Basically, the less experienced you are, the more competitive it is. So publishing on your blog from time to time will boost your work's visibility, and it also creates a different outlet to showcase your skills outside of your resume and your GitHub. This sets you apart in the job market, thus attracting people and new opportunities. One great example of how blogging builds your brand is CodeCo. CodeCo is one of the best resources to learn mobile development, and it started off as a personal blog by Ray Wenderlich back in the day. And the blog grew into a company with over 100 employees and now has an annual revenue of $7 million. Blogging also helps you improve the way you communicate with every blog you post. You'll be able to convey your thoughts and ideas more clearly than before. And in tandem, your technical documents like your on-call run books, your design docs, that API documentation you have to write gets better as well. And in contrary of what I showed earlier, the trend of job postings asking for strong communication skills increases every year. In order to grow in your career, you'll need to be able to concisely communicate with others. And blogging can help hone the skill without you realizing it. So hopefully I convinced you to start blogging, but you don't know how to start. And granted, that's perfectly okay. Starting is the hardest part. So how can you start blogging without a topic in mind? Think about, what do people ask you about the most? Notice the trend of people coming up to you and asking you questions. This means you're trusted and that you're a reliable source for the information that they need. By having a blog on these topics, you can also save yourself some mental bandwidth because you already have the prepared documentation for it. Another thing is think about what are you currently learning? We're all human and life happens and we can forget things. It's best to jot down the things that you learn and document the processes that benefit you or your team. You can also try to recall that time where you had a really tough problem and you did a ton of trial and error. Spill your heart out about that experience in a blog and what you did to finally solve it. This can help you in the future if you run into that issue again, and it can help anyone else who has the same issue. I personally refer back to my blogs all the time to refresh my memory. And because I've written about these topics in my own voice, I'm able to remember the topic quickly. So your blog can become your own personal source of truth. Once you have an idea about what to write about, it's best to pick a consistent place to publish. There's multiple ways you can start a blog. You can create an account on popular websites. These are a few that I recommend. There's Dev2, so dev.to, which has a beginner level audience and provides free content for all. There's Medium, which contains a large user base, and you can optionally generate income as well if you choose to paywall your content. And there's also Substack, which is a subscription network for independent writers, and you can get paid from your subscribers. You can also host your own through services like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, and others. There's also static site generators if you rather go the coding route, like Jekyll using Ruby or Hugo using the language Go. And there's Ignite with Swift. This can give you the freedom of your own domain name. You get to coding as well, and people tend to like the idea that their blog posts are truly theirs. So you've got a blog published and you have the link copied and ready in your pasteboard. Where should you share the link? Anywhere and everywhere, honestly. But post where the community who would benefit from your blog is. The one mandatory social media platform that you have to post on is LinkedIn. Your engagement score will skyrocket and you'll have a lot of people in your inbox, especially if you're open to work. Some examples of where a lot of people in the tech industry hang out are Reddit, where you can find subreddits for the different technologies or programming languages that you work on. There's also different Discord channels and Slack communities as well that you could join and share your work. And of course, there's way more. There's X, formerly known as Twitter, Mastodon, Instagram Threads, and there's a new kid on the block called Blue Sky. So by sharing your blog posts in these communities, you'll build up your following and build up your personal brand. And you may meet people that you wouldn't have had the chance to before. And I do have to address the elephant in the room, especially now that we're living in the artificial intelligence boom. You can absolutely use generative AI to help you blog. Use the Gen AI tools of your choice to brainstorm different ideas. So examples of ChatGPT or Perplexity can become your non-judgmental brainstorming partner. And you may also learn something new as well. And use Gen AI for proofreading. Ask it to fix any grammar issues or if your idea transition is concise. And of course, there are some do's to use Gen AI for blogging, but there are some don'ts as well. So definitely don't copy the content. ChatGPT can plagiarize other authors without citing the sources. And it's also cheating yourself because you won't be writing in your own voice. And I would say don't rely on it too much. There's still a lot of room for improvement. For example, generating real-time data or citing numbers could be inaccurate, so always double check the data. So use GenAI as a supplementary resource, not your primary go-to. So how to continue blogging? It's hard. I won't deny that. I personally get writer's block for months at a time, but sometimes I get a spurt of inspiration to write. It takes practice and it takes persistence, but with consistency, you'll be able to generate high quality content at a pace that works for you. You can also try different formats. So you can mix and play with your writing style. For example, if you just learned how to deploy a website for the first time, you can write a how-to post, which acts as a step-by-step guide written in your own voice. You can also try a list-based post, which is a very popular format that people love to scroll through on websites like BuzzFeed. This isn't a exhaustive list. Uh, Definitely use whatever style works best to get your thoughts out there. And as the holidays come closer, things tend to slow down. So I have a challenge for you all to complete before the new year starts. If you don't have an account already on any platform, please create one, or you pick the self-hosting tool that you want to work with. Then publish your first blog. No matter how long or how short it is, get the content published and live. Then lastly, share it out. Share it with your network, your communities, your family, your friends, and be proud that you took this first step to enhance your career. And I have one last tip before I end. Give it your best, but don't let perfectionism get the best of you. You got this. And thank you so much for listening. I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn and give feedback on the blog posts that you write. And I can open the up for questions now. If you post, Judy asked, if you post on multiple platforms, should you write different posts for each? Oh, you don't, definitely not. I used to post on Dev2, and then I would link. They had a button that directly linked into Medium, and and then it automatically added like this post was originally posted on Dev2. So it was the same exact content, different platforms. You reach different audiences, so you don't have to change it. But multiple platforms, if that works for you, you could definitely do that. Oh. Angie asked, what if you have different topics you want to blog about? Gardening, I love that. Gardening, coding, feng shui. Do you have to make different sites? I would say definitely not. If those three things are what you're very passionate about, having all of those three in one platform is absolutely okay. And I think I explored that as well. I wanted to make a traveling blog, and like I think it can discourage people to have two different blogs on different platforms that they can, I don't know, they have to maintain. If you just have it all on your one blog, it defines who Angie is, and that makes what you are unique. So definitely whatever topic you want, I would say keep it on the same blog. Uh, Rebecca said, if you do struggle perfectionism, how do you manage perfectionism? Oh, yeah, that is something I like worked with a counseling coach through. So I would say it. I won't say I conquered it. I would say it gets easier if you try to think like if let's say if this PowerPoint I just showed, if I didn't think it was perfect, would I have even came to this conference? If you think perfectionism stops you, try to let it go in little ways, and it does get better over time. Um, I encourage trying to let go just one little thing and see how it works out for you. Angie, sorry, Angie said, given the demise of WordPress, what do you think about the future of blogging? I I think the future of blogging will still be there. I do think it will be enhanced definitely with Gen AI, where you could just um, make generative art now, having to create a ton of content for you. I don't see blogging going away. And Tony said, sorry, if we're running out of time, please let me know. Tony said, should you run your ideas by a knowledgeable friend before posting? Oh, absolutely. Um, I get people to proofread my posts all the time, especially if they're in your field. You could get that unique voice, another unique voice who knows what you're talking about, get their ideas, and yeah, absolutely have collaboration with that. Priska said, any advice for people who are scared of posting on social media but feel forced? Oh, hmm. Let's see. I wouldn't force yourself to do anything you're not comfortable with. There's also like settings. You can adjust the settings to the privacy, where it won't be public. You could share it to the network, probably even specific groups as well, um, of what posts you want to share out. And take it easy, but definitely don't force yourself to do something you're not comfortable with. Um, yeah.